Hey, movie going fans, this is Chris Boltz, and I'm coming in with a video on a topic that actually took place over the weekend, or rather, not the weekend, but the day before, following the events of what happened with regards to Charlie Kirk being assassinated by a cowardly individual, if you would, get killed over words. And a whole bunch of controversy started coming up, started popping up and everything. A whole bunch of leftists started mouthing off, started celebrating, started saying things about Charlie Kirk, which did not turn out to be true whatsoever. It's by the way, if you guys have any type of confusion about what Charlie Kirk stood for, it's very easy to go and search out his content on YouTube, search out his content on Instagram, search out his content on the podcast, search out his content from his talk radio show. It's very easy to get that information. You don't need to rely upon tertiary sources or third-party sources to get your information. Just go straight to the horse's mouth. He's not going to bite you. He's not here anymore. So there's nothing to be afraid of, right? They're just words. But apparently, for one writer, as you can see from the screen here, that didn't work out enough for him for his movie. Stephen King's The Long Walk bombs at the box office following Charlie Kirk comments, which is at a 33-year low. But before I do get into this article, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Now, I originally was going to go ahead and watch this movie here because I want my daughter and I, we like to go and watch our horror movies together. We like to watch the horror movies together and have fun and then have small discussions afterwards, what we thought about it and what could have been better and whatnot. And The Long Walk looked pretty interesting. In fact, there was going to be, I thought there was going to be many theaters that were going to have a walk along with The Long Walk. And my daughter and I were really interested in wanting to do that. But unfortunately, all that fell through. And I will say that originally, when I first heard that Stephen King comments about Charlie Kirk, that had jaundiced my view about this movie immediately. And let me just go ahead and scroll down to what I'm referring to right here. Now, if you look at this post here, the first post right here is saying that he's responding to Jesse Waters from Fox News. And Jesse Waters basically came out and said that Charlie Kirk was not, quote, controversial or, quote, a polarizing man. Charlie was a patriot. Now, I think Charlie Kirk would disagree with that because he wasn't intending to be controversial or polarizing. However, he was strong in his beliefs, his Christianity, his faith, his positions, his conservatism, such that his positions became controversial and polarizing because the people he had contact with were not receptive to a Christian message or to a conservative message. So from that point of view, Charlie Kirk would probably say, yeah, I am controversial and I am polarizing, but it was not his intent. When you're telling the truth or you're attempting to tell the truth, you are going to be polarizing. And so finishing Jesse Waters' statement, he goes on to say, this is a turning point. That's not tongue in cheek, by the way. This is a turning point and we all need to turn in the right direction. And that's where Stephen King comes back and says he advocated stoning gays to death. Just saying. No, Charlie Kirk has never once advocated for violence whatsoever. Once again, if you need to verify what I'm saying or what Charlie Kirk is saying, you can easily go online and find the myriads of talks, the debates he had on the campuses, his talk radio show, the interviews, his discussions, his debates over in Oxford. They are all available online. He has never once advocated violence against anybody. And I can say that with the utmost confidence, 100%. He has never advocated for violence against anybody. In fact, as you can see right here, you go further down to his actual response about what he said about homosexuality, or at least with gay marriage. I believe marriage is a one man, one woman, and I hate that we have to use that word believe. Marriage is between one man, one woman, period, full stop, end of story. That's how it's always been. That's how it's been since the beginning of man. That's how it's practiced pretty much everywhere on earth, except in the Western societies, which can dally in this kind of nonsense without having any type of consequence. So it's just marriages between one man, one woman. There are no exceptions. No matter what the courts have to say, and you can't force people to accept that belief or that notion that marriage is not between one man and one woman. It could be between a man and a man and a woman and a woman. You can go ahead and try to do that however way you want. People won't go along with it, and you can't force them to go along with it. Charlie Kirk continues. Also, gay people should be welcome in the conservative movement. I disagree with him on that too. If you're going to be in the conservative movement, you have to start working on yourself. You have to start working on yourself and become straight in the proper sense of the word, not straight as in the sexuality, although that it would come along with it once you start trying to understand who it is you are and what you are about. As Christians, we are called to love everyone. I don't agree with that either. You can't love everyone. This is the thing about humanity. You cannot be an absolute in any one position. You can't be absolute. So this is an absolute statement right here. And should we be more neutral? I think that'd be the right word. We should be more neutral towards everyone and not be quick to violence or love, which in either direction, until you get to know a person personally. I think that is the proper default setting for people. And then he goes right further on. He says, I will always stand against people who wish to establish their own personal values as a reason to kick others out of our movement. Now, overall, I do agree that we should be allowing people to become over to us, but they have to come through a period of discovery as to why they are conservative. It can't be forced. It has to, and I think a lot of people have just become more conservative just by the simple act of what happened to Charlie Kirk last week on September 10th. That's going to be a day that lives in infamy, just like Pearl Harbor, just like 9/11. Unfortunately, because it's a shock moment for a lot of people. So overall, his message was pretty anodyne. It was not forceful or anything like that. It did not call for violence. So Stephen King was wrong, but he did go out and delete the post. But the thing is the damage has already been done. You made this post at a time when people have said we have had enough of the demonizing by anyone from the left. The left has demonized people they disagree with long enough. We no longer want to hear it anymore. You're not going to get away with calling people fascist or Nazis or racist or homophobes or transphobes or any other dumb name you got to come up with to try to get people to shut up because they are pushing back or giving a really reasoned argument against whatever it is that you happen to support. And him and that piece of shit putting that bullet into Charlie Kirk has completely shown everybody that, hey, you know what? Maybe that Charlie Kirk guy was right. Since when in American history has assassinations ever worked? They never have. They never have. In fact, what you have done is you have turned every man into a martyr. So now Charlie Kirk's name will be standing along those like Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King. It's unfortunate that William McKinley's name isn't more known or anything like that. He was I think he was our 19th president. You can correct me on if I'm wrong on that. But yes, his name has now entered into the upper echelons of names that will never be forgotten. It will never be forgotten. That has been one of the most public assassinations since John F. Kennedy. when so many can see it. And it was unfortunate. And frankly, Stephen King, he paid the price for it, even though he apologized. Now, I don't know whether or not this is probably was affected by what he said, but it stands to reason that it played a part in why this movie has not done well. The movie it says right here by the author's count, it's the lowest opening for a King movie in 33 years. So nobody is playing with this. People are not playing with it. Any type of talk of celebration or demeaning Charlie Kirk's name through lies or half-truths is not going to be tolerated. And his movie suffered. And it also doesn't bode well that the fact that Mark Hamill is in this movie. Mark Hamill has done more to do damage to Star Wars than I think even Kathleen Kennedy and Disney. So the combination of these two, I don't want to say washed out white men because they really are still acting. They're still active and they're still acting. But having these two men pair up for this movie, I didn't even know Mark Hamill was in the movie because he was wearing the glasses when I saw the previews. But once I saw out in the previews or interviews that he was in the movie, it's like, oh God, do I really want to support something with Mark Hamill? But I will say this: when Stephen King did apologize, I'm of the mindset that if a person apologizes and they are genuinely remorseful about what they have done or said, we should give them a chance. That's the Christian thing to do. Now, I'm not a Christian or anything like that, but I still try to live by some of those principles. I think we shouldn't be like the left in this regard. If a man apologizes, take him at his word. Again, though, that's just me. Other people have not been so forgiving. Like I said, this is the wrong time to sit there and to demean Charlie Kirk's name, to make it seem as though he is something that he was not, and to be celebrating that. And that's just ghoulish. To be celebrating a man being murdered. I remember back when Luigi Mangione had assassinated the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, and people were just celebrating that too. And I'm just like, you don't want to have that type of culture where you are celebrating a man being murdered because he happens to work in an industry that you disagree with, that you have a problem with. And I just saw all kinds of people that were just giddy and laughing, and they got the Luigi meme tying the character of Luigi from Nintendo, the Super Mario Brothers, to this guy. Like, no. And so here we go again with this. But I'm glad that people are that society is pushing back on this and is not letting people get away with it. People are losing their jobs. And this is not similar to cancel culture where someone says something a leftist disagrees with, or some leftist finds that they don't like a person and they start going back and digging through their past to then go to their employers to see, you see what this person said? You should fire him because he said this. No, this is something completely different. We have never once in American society has ever celebrated someone getting murdered. And we can't have that. We cannot have that type of ghoulish activity taking root in our country. And so anybody that's celebrating the death of a man, I don't care if he's left or right, man, woman, gay, straight. If you're celebrating someone being murdered, you're evil. You are not on the side of good, and you deserve to lose your job. In fact, you earned it. Learn to just keep your mouth shut about things that you don't like. It's very easy to say, oh, all you have to do is just say, hey, oh, Charlie Kirk died? Well, that's unfortunate. And then go about your business. If you sit there and start laughing like they did in the TMZ video, or you start posting your shit on the Blue Sky or X Twitter, you deserve to get fired. because you are a representation of your company. You shouldn't be doing it. So to bring it all home, this movie, The Long Walk, which looked pretty good, got really good audience scores, got really good critic scores, it has just bombed at the box office. And according to this author, Matt McGloin, he thinks it's due to what Stephen King said about Charlie Kirk. That may be, and it may have played a big part of it. I know that it impacted my thinking about wanting to go see the movie. But ultimately, I was going to say, you know what? He apologized. We'll go ahead and relent. But unfortunately, I still didn't go and see the movie because life just happened. But so he has no one to blame but himself. And I'll go ahead and leave it at that. What did you guys think about about my commentary here? What do you think about Stephen King's movie, The Long Walk, and what he had to say about Charlie Kirk? Did you guys go see The Long Walk, and what did you think about the movie overall? Regardless of what you got to think or say, jump down in the comments and let me know, and let's get a conversation going. And make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Bolt signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.